Hello, great thinkers, and welcome back to the Think Great Experience for another segment of greatness. Today's segment is communication. And I want to start off with a question. In your workplace, how important is communication? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest importance, how would you rank the importance of communication? Like most leaders, you probably ranked it at 10. Some of you just threw out an 11. But when I follow up with business leaders and I say, all right, you scored it a 10 out of 10 on importance, how would you rank your consistent communication training program to get everybody speaking the same language, to be communicating crystal clear so there's no misunderstandings, no misinterpretations? They usually say a 0. We don't have one. And so what I want to do today is I want to give you a couple ideas from two of my books. The first being The Leadership Connection. I have an entire chapter on communication, teaching leaders the power of using communication to empower your people. The next is from my book, The Communication Movement, an entire book on communication, which teaches us how to move people with our communication. Because communication, it has magnetic properties. It has the ability to attract people or repel people. And if you ranked it a 10 out of 10 on importance, you want to attract your people. You want to bring them together with communication, with our words, our speeches, our gestures, and our actions. Now, based on the amount of feedback that we get on communication, the amount of questions we have on increasing powerful communication in the workplace, this segment on communication will have many parts to it. This first part today is just going to focus on how to identify the communication that's happening currently in your workplace. And there's only 3 levels. 3 levels of communication. The first is poor communication. The second is basic communication. And the third is dynamic communication. They have certain properties to them. There's ways that you can tell when it's happening. And there's ways that you can strengthen 2 of them and remove 1 of them. We want to remove poor communication. Poor communication is an out. It needs to go out of your business in order for you to succeed at higher levels. Now, poor communication can come in many flavors. Poor communication can be misleading. It might miss out on some information. It might lack tact. People could be negative. People could gossip. It could be as simple as an eye roll in a meeting. Those nonverbals can have a devastating impact. Or people not taking an action, not running your workflow the right way, sends a message. They are communicating to the team that they're going to do things their way, not the best way. And so poor communication, if I were in your shoes, I would make a list of poor communication that's happening. Maybe it's not timely. Maybe it's not relevant. Maybe there's too much of it. Maybe there's too little communication that happens. Maybe there's no follow-up or follow-through. So in order to get poor communication out, we have to send a message that it's no longer tolerated. So work with your leaders on a list of poor communication topics, and then you can come up with a plan to address it with the team, that this is no longer tolerated, these behaviors, these forms of communication, and we want to remove those. The next is basic communication. Basic communication transfers information. When I was an air traffic controller in the Marine Corps, it was basic communication. We told aircraft where to go. They would reply back, Roger that, heading that direction. It was basic. We weren't hyping rah-rah on the airwaves, if you will. Top Gun didn't call up to the tower and I got all fired up for them and say, hey, Top Gun, how are you guys doing? It was Top Gun 1-4, taxi to runway 35. It was basic communication, transferring information. Every day, basic communication is happening in your organization. And there's 3 ways to improve that basic communication. Number 1 is listen more. If we're listening, it kind of implies we should ask questions. We should engage our teams with deeper dialogue and let them talk. We need to listen in order to have better basic communication. The other is we need to prepare our communication as often as possible. If you're going to have a segment in a meeting or conduct a meeting, prepare what you're going to say. Don't read it as a script, but be prepared. Don't go into a meeting and wing it. People know when you're winging it, even if you're a good winger. People still know it. So preparing what to say allows you to work out some of the kinks in your speech, allows you to come up with some best ways of saying things that will start to unify people, bring them together. And then lastly, and most importantly, is dynamic communication. Dynamic communication empowers people. Dynamic communication is our ability to say things and do things, to communicate a message that unifies people, brings them together, creates cohesion, creates enthusiasm and excitement in the workplace. And I'll leave you with an acronym, BEC. There's three words that you can use that I found throughout my entire career as a speaker, when I was in the Marine Corps, when I was in financial services, and I felt empowered when somebody communicated to me. I realized they were doing one, two, or three of these. And the acronym BEC stands for Believe, Encourage, and Challenge. Believe in your people. Let them know you believe in them. What a great way to start your day off, by picking a few people and saying, I believe in you. The other one is encourage. You can encourage your people. You can encourage them to not quit, to stay the course, to remain loyal to that project that they're working on, to stay focused. Encouragement. We need more of it on our world today. So find people that you can encourage. And the last is challenge your people. Don't dump challenges on them. Challenge them to become greater. Challenge them to step out of their shell. Challenge them to take steps in a new direction. Challenge them to honor the mission, the vision, the core values of your organization. Challenge them to become symbols of professionalism in your organization. You see, when we take a proactive approach to communication, not a reactive approach, but a proactive approach to communication, we have the ability to empower people, which then increases engagement and performance, and ultimately leads to dynamic, excellent results. All right, great thinkers. Thanks for tuning in for a little segment on communication. We'll see you soon for the next segment of greatness.